before we get to Billy's idea on how to save baseball, Greg Cote, do you have any more reheated football takes that you think are going to be better on Tuesday than they were immediately after the games on Sunday or on Monday? Because I have one. I saw Michael Irvin say on whatever the name of that show is with Skip Bayless. Mm-hmm. I'm not being disrespectful there. I don't know that. Is it Undisputed? Undisputed.
Yes.
He said that it is a fireable offense for the Ravens coaching staff to allow Travis Kelce to have 11 receptions on 11 targets. And I'm thinking they were trying to stop it. I'm thinking everyone's trying to stop that at all times, and it's not something that would appear to be stoppable, given that Travis Kelce always has 100 yards in every game that I'm watching, even though everyone knows you have to stop him. Evidently, the Ravens tight ends can be stopped,
right?
Because I saw that happen Sunday. I have not seen in my lifetime, since he's had Mahomes, a Travis Kelce that can be stopped.
I actually agree with that, because he's the one weapon consistently that Mahomes has had the entire season. And you know he's going to try to get the ball to Travis Kelce. You can't let Travis Kelce be the guy that beats you in that game. You can't.
I understand, but he does, and he did, because he's the best we've ever seen. And I'm of the argument, like, I understand how everyone arrives at these conclusions, because Mike did it yesterday, and Mike was doing a game planning critique that a ton of people were doing. Why didn't Baltimore run the ball more? But I think of the Ravens as being an exceptionally run organization. I think of John Harbaugh as not only being a champion, but being pretty smart. And sometimes you trust your team to be better than the other guys at what they do. The Ravens take away the middle of the field and take away tight ends because of their linebackers and because of their safety. They couldn't take away that one. They had to take away that one, and it's a fireable offense because you lose if you want to make it a fireable offense. But I haven't seen the coach that can stop Travis Kelce.
Mike McDonald is one of the hottest head coaching candidates because of the work that he's done as defensive coordinator, to suggest that he should be fired because Travis Kelce, arguably the greatest tight end of all time, had a great performance in the playoffs is television. That's what that is. It's debate television. But Travis Kelce hadn't been playing well entering these playoffs. He put up a 3 for 16 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Are you familiar with that defense's work this season? There's plenty of reason to look at Travis Kelce and say, okay, he's one of the greatest of all time. Additionally, he appears to be declining, because how can you not at that age when you consider where you've set the bar? But he hasn't had a good season by his standards.
My point is, if you're the Ravens, and you could have been undefeated because you had fourth quarter leads in all the games you lost, do you trust your guys to be good at the thing they've been excellent at or not? You change everything you do. You change it all because Travis Kelce is coming into town, and now you're going to have Patrick Mahomes beat you in some other way because you're going to what? Double and triple team Travis Kelce?
No, but then you trust your guys, but you also have to make slight adjustments depending on who it is that you're playing. Like for me, there's no reason to guard Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Just throw him the ball and let's see what happens, okay? Because he might not catch it. I would put everyone on Travis Kelce and Rice, and that's it, and force the other guys to beat me.
And more so now than a few years ago. When Mahomes had Tyreek Hill, at least you could say, all right, they need to cover Tyreek. They need to worry more about Tyreek Hill. Now, if you're defending the Chiefs, you're not that worried about Pacheco. You're going to give him his 100-yard rushing. You're worried about Travis Kelce, and without a great, as you say,
Are you guys
receiver.
of the opinion that Harbaugh didn't understand that he needed to slow Kelce in that game, that it snuck up on him?
And yet didn't do it.
I know, but
he didn't. That's the point. Like that, it's not crazy to say, hey, like our objective here is to stop Travis Kelce from eating and have the other guys who can't catch the ball and drop it constantly beat us. And if Travis Kelce beats us, we didn't execute the game plan, and this may have been our best shot at a Super Bowl, so there have to be changes. It's not crazy.
They held the Chiefs to 17 points. You're hosting the AFC Championship game. That needs to be good enough. It needs to be good enough. They held everyone else in check, even Mahomes, especially in that second half. Mahomes made the one play that he had to seal the game. This was a Ravens offense loss.
Their game plan was, let's have the best cover safety in the league against tight ends cover the best tight end in football. Yep. Kyle Hamilton, the only touchdown he's led up for a tight end was that one-handed catch that was a back shoulder throw that Kelce made an incredible grab on, one of the 2 touchdowns that the Chiefs had. Kyle Hamilton was that piece. He was healthy, he was back in, and he just got the better of him on one play.
My point, Stugotz, just so that the people understand what my point is, because I do understand when you're armed with the result, we are all experts. And I heard plenty of analysis like Mike Ryan's, where people were saying everywhere, why didn't the Ravens run the ball more? It seems obvious to me in retrospect, having watched the game, that Spagnuolo's game plan was take away the tight ends and make Lamar Jackson beat you with his arm. They threw 40 times. But my question to the group here is the following. You think John Harbaugh is good at his job? Yes?
Yes.
You think that organization is as good as any that there's been in football this century? Yes?
Yes.
If they're not able to run the ball, and I told you yesterday that the Chiefs' defense over the last 5 weeks has been better at stopping the run than anybody, is it because John Harbaugh knows less about what he's doing there than we do? Or is it because the Chiefs might have taken something away that you're not understanding, because when we're watching the game, we don't have the sophistication about what the adjustments have to be. All we've got is the criticism once you've got the result.
Well, we have the stats that say the Ravens were twice as good at running the ball than the Chiefs were in that game. And that every time that they decided to hand the ball off or have Lamar Jackson carry, it was a really positive play for them, outside of handing it to Justice Hill, who was terrible in pass protection as well. You can say they took away the tight ends. Mark Andrews coming back from a lengthy injury, but this was the offense failing. This was the offense about to score at the 1 and fumbling at the 1 as Zay Flowers tried to extend the ball. And I know Bill Belichick has famously said you don't reach for the touchdown at the 1 yard line because things like that can happen. The offense failed. The quarterback had a bad day. And the offensive coordinator, Munkin, had a really bad day.
Agreed. My point is, when the offense has a bad day, is it allowed to be because the defense did that to the offense, or does it always have to be their game plan was shit?
No, 100%. The defense has been incredible. Spags is one of the best defensive coordinators ever. Lamar Jackson is going to win a second MVP this season. They totally held him in check. From an offense, there were a couple big-time breakdowns where Zay Flowers got behind people in ways that were a little shocking for a Spagnuolo defense, but this was Munkin failing. They botched the game plan against the Kansas City Chiefs. They got uncomfortable because they had to chase the game early on, and they got away from their game plan. It didn't make any sense watching it.
I think Mike is right. This is a team, Dan. This is an offense that scored 38 points against the Lions, 50-plus against the Dolphins, scored 30-plus against San Francisco, had 37 against the L.A. Rams. Like, this is a good offense that really didn't come to play. Just failed on Sunday. They did. They failed in a spectacular way.
The Chiefs are in the Super Bowl because of their defense. Mahomes did not have a particularly good season by his standards, but any team with Mahomes on it is never going to get the credit maybe deserved on defense. The Chiefs had a great defense this season. Not a good one, a great one. Elite.
But
top 3.
But if you're going to say that, can you just parse for me the degrees on this, on how much, when you say, and you're right, Ravens offense failed. Whatever they were scheming did not work. 10 points, not enough. Chiefs score 17, you should be able to beat them. You guys are saying all the right things. I'm asking you to make the distinction between how much time you spend criticizing the game plan of people whose life's work is invested for many, many decades in making sure that they're prepared for that game. And the easiest thing for us is to take the result afterward and say, you guys didn't know what you're doing. And so I'm asking, how much do I blame on the Ravens for their offensive failings? And how much do I say, well, shit, McDuffie and Snead are kind of amazing. The Dolphins tried to build what the Chiefs have. They said, look, we'll have Howard and Ramsey, and we'll make Chubb Chris Jones, and we can't do it. We don't have a way to recreate what the Chiefs did. What they do is obviously something that affected whatever Harbaugh's plan was, and I'm trusting going in, Harbaugh's got a plan.
I think it can be both. I think you can give the Chiefs credit for a great defensive plan, and you can blame Lamar Jackson for once again having a really inferior game when they needed him to be at his best. But if you ask every coach in the NFL, all 32 head coaches, How about you give up an average of 17 points a game on defense over the course of a season? Would you take that? Every one of them would say yes. When you hold the other team to 17 points, you're expected to win that game, and you better be prepared to score more than 10 points. And that's the story of this game.
In watching it, I kind of experienced like Lamar Jackson was holding on to the ball, trying to prove a point passing the ball, because there were several opportunities in that game where Lamar Jackson, arguably the greatest runner we've ever seen at that position, could have taken a 12-yard chunk, and he decided to hold the ball, and then the ensuing result was a coverage sack. He just had a really bad game, and the offense had a game plan where they were chasing this game. If I tell you, the guy that scored the third most touchdowns in the sport, your starting running back, and granted they've had injuries there, is averaging 6 yards every time he touches the ball, but he only musters up 3 carries with 20 yards. You're wondering what happened there. Surely this game got out of hand and they had to throw from behind and they were down 3 scores. That game was always within striking distance. They just started chasing the game in a very odd fashion for them.
Lamar Jackson here almost reminds me, if you go cross-sport, to Giannis Antetokounmpo in his first couple of years winning MVP and then failing in the postseason, where you're looking around and wondering, is this him coming up short? Is it the surrounding roster? Is it the scheme that Bud is putting out there as a coach at the time? Because you're looking around and wondering, how could this possibly flail in this way come the postseason when you're looking at this remarkable athlete doing things we haven't seen anyone else do at their position? So it's almost kind of similar, and you have to hope, if you're Lamar Jackson, that your career starts to take that same arc.
I thought that Lamar Jackson had a pretty telling quote before the game, and we didn't talk about it on this show, but he said of Patrick Mahomes, "I hate playing him." He's 1-3 in his career against Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has seemingly stolen victory from the jaws of defeat against Lamar Jackson, and in watching that game, I think this guy's pressing against Patrick Mahomes, given their history, and he plays out of character.
But, Mike, your point about not rushing the ball is probably the best point, because this is by far the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. By far, Dan. That is a terrible job by John Harbaugh. You need to run the ball.